Hi, welcome to the Leadership Lab. Medical writing is usually a less explored career option by the pharmacy students in India. Today, we have with us Dr. Ankit Turakhiya, who is currently the Associate Manager for Medical Writing and Global Scientific Communications with Eli Lilly. Dr. Turakhiya has done his B.Pharm from Nirma University, his MS from NIPER Mohali, and his PhD from the Julius Maximilius University, Würzburg, Germany. Dr. Turakhiya has also worked as a junior research fellow with the National Institute of Immunology. With more than 8 years of experience, Dr. Turakhiya shares his knowledge about medical writing as a career for the pharmacy students in the country. Dr. Turakhiya also emphasizes on the importance of good communication skills. He also talks about his GPAT NIPER preparations and the challenges that he faced during his PhD applications. We welcome Dr. Ankit Turakhiya at the Leadership Lab. Good afternoon, Ankit, and thank you so much for joining us at the Leadership Lab. I'm pretty sure the students will get to learn a lot with this interaction, especially about medical writing and your journey in this industry as well. So, thank you so much for joining us. Uh, my first
Yeah.
question, yeah, my first question to you, Ankit, would be a very simple one. What is your current job profile and what are your roles and responsibilities?
Sure, yeah. So currently I'm working as a medical writer at Eli Lilly in Bangalore. And so talking a bit more about Eli Lilly. So as you know, Eli Lilly is one of the leading organizations in pharmaceutical industry. And it is almost more than 140-year-old organization. And Lilly was actually, one of the first pharmaceutical company who started working with insulins for the treatment of type 1 diabetes in children. So in Eli Lilly, I currently work as a publication writer. So basically, what we do as publication writer is to prepare manuscripts which has to be submitted to different scientific journals. We prepare abstracts, posters, or even the oral presentations that has to be presented to different scientific conferences. Yes, so this is basic introduction to my roles and responsibilities and job profile.
Great. Thank you, Ankit. So, Ankit, if you could like to tell us more about what exactly medical writing is. Like, there are a lot of students who have just heard this term.
Mhm.
Many of us do not even have an idea what exactly medical writing is. So, if you could help us know more about it.
Yes, sure. No, completely agree. Because even when I remember when I was in my doing my bachelor's, I also did not have enough idea regarding what medical writing is. And so, yeah, I would definitely like to give more background information and what in detail what medical writing is. So, I will start with the simple terminology. So, just to tell the audience in simple language what medical writing is.
Right.
So, basically, medical writing is all about translating the scientific data into the language which can be read and understood by everyone. So it can be either scientists, either doctors, or sometimes it also has to be layman audience, like people like us who are doing bachelor's, masters, who are doing some research in particular therapeutic area. So everyone has to be able to read it and understand it. So this is in simple language. And to give you some more idea in detail, so if you look at medical writing, there are two different types of medical writing actually. So the first is regulatory writing and another is publication writing. That is what I do. So let's understand what the first regulatory writing is. So as you know, throughout the process of clinical trial, when any clinical trial is conducted, there is a lot of data will be generated during this stage, because as we know, in clinical trial there are different phases: phase 1, 2, 3, 4, post market analysis, and there are several stages. So during all those stages, with the help of research, there a lot of data will be generated. So as a medical writer, what we need to do is we need to prepare regulatory documents. And why we need to do this? Because once the company receive the data from different clinical trials, it has to be submitted to regulatory bodies for approvals. So these regulatory bodies will check your data and will try to understand how safe the drug is, how efficacious it is, are there any adverse events or side effects associated with this drug, and everything. So for this, there are different reports has to be submitted. So as a regulatory writer, we collect all this data, try to understand that, and prepare it in a form of report. that can be submitted to regulatory bodies. So just to give you a brief example, so regulatory authorities like FDA in case of US. And the second part is publication writing, which is what I do. So we basically take almost the similar data that is generated by clinical trial procedures, and we prepare in the form of the data that can be submitted to different scientific journals.
Right.
Like as we know, the journals like Nature, Science, Cell. So there are thousands of journals.
Right.
So we prepare manuscripts that can be submitted to these journals, so that the people can read it and understand how the science is working, what are the results, and is the drug is safe, efficacious, and things like that. And in addition, we also prepare abstracts, posters, and the slide sets that is submitted to, or that is presented to scientific congresses or conferences. So where all the researchers and scientists go and meet and discuss all the results. And there are people from several companies coming together and understanding the data from each other.
Right.
Yes. So this is what the publication writing is. Yeah. So there are two different types of medical writing. One is regulatory and one is publication writing. Yes.
Thank you so much. Looks pretty interesting. Like there is a lot of science involved, and plus so much of exposure to regulatory bodies as well as the writing journals and everything. So looks very interesting job profile, isn't it?
Yes, completely. So I mean, it's the perfect job profile for someone who is actually interested into science, doing research, and also, I mean, people who did not get opportunity to do research, but still would like to stay close to research and science or
Right.
clinical trials. So it is a perfect opportunity because you kind of understand all the things which is going under this procedure.
Perfect. Very nice. Yeah. To be honest, this is the first time I have come to know what exactly it is. So even tell me. So thank you so much, Ankit, for this answer. I'm pretty sure the students also got to know much more. So Ankit, what is the current industry scenario with respect to medical writing, and what kind of growth prospects are available for students who wish to make a career in medical writing?
Yeah, that's a good question. So if you look at the industry scenario for medical writing, so medical writing field actually existed since long time in other countries, many other countries, but it came to India in early 2000s. So it's around 20 years now that medical writing field started in India. So if I count that right now, if you look at the major pharmaceutical companies, so they have their own medical writing departments. So whatever research they are doing, all the data will be, I mean, understand or interpreted by the medical writers in their own company, and then they prepare different reports and publications. So they have their own medical writing department. So just to give you example, for example, Lilly, Novartis, Novo Nordisk, Sanofi. So all these big pharma companies have their own medical writing departments. And on the other hand, we also have the contract research organizations. So what they do is they don't do their own research from scratch, but they have contract with other pharmaceutical companies. So they do medical writing job on their behalf.
Okay.
So they have different contracts with medical. So I'm sure that you might have heard about Kineps, Indigene, so Accenture. So these are the CROs, which is contract research organizations. So they also have people who are doing medical writing jobs.
Great.
Yes. And what was the second part of your question?
What are the job prospects available, like career prospects for students who wish to make a career here?
Yes, yeah. So yeah, just to give you a brief idea regarding how the growth looks like. So for example, once you enter into the medical writing field, let's say you are working as a medical writer, how your career looks like, what are the different growth opportunities.
Right.
So the one option is one can continue to be expert in the field of medical writing. So with several years of experience, one can become expert in one particular disease area. Let's say I know people who are expert in medical writing for doing medical writing for oncology. There are people who are expert in diabetes field. There are people who are expert in immunology. So with several years of experience, you kind of become expert in one particular field. You also can become expert in writing one particular document type, because there are several document types that one has to write when you are doing medical writing. So you can kind of become expert in some particular document types. So this is one side where you kind of move forward during the in the technical side, I would say.
Right.
And the other side, once you gain the technical knowledge or expertise, the other side, if you are interested in people management, so there is one other side where the people can move. So if you are interested in managing a team of 5 or 10 people, you can become manager or leader, or you can also choose to stay in the technical side where you become the technical expert in that field. So there are two different options, yes. And also, yes, I mean, just to give you a more idea to students, because when I actually entered into medical writing, I did not have enough idea, I mean, what are the other opportunities one can get after few years. So for example, let's say you are into medical writing and you don't want to stay into medical writing after few years, after 5 or 6 years you don't find enough opportunities. Then the one advantage of medical writing field is the kind of expertise or knowledge that you gain in this field. You can also use all these skills and you can enter into different streams. Like we have different departments for medical information, different departments for scientific communication, so they are kind of preparing the promotional materials for marketing and sales departments, so it's also related to science communication part. You can also move to medical affairs department. You can also move to regulatory affairs department, because you now have a more knowledge about the clinical trials or how to deal with the regulatory bodies, how to prepare documents. So you can also learn a few more things and get into regulatory affairs department as well after a few years. So yeah, I mean, once you are into medical writing field, it's not like that you need to continue with that only. So there are several branches that opens after
Right.
a few years.
That is quite interesting. So you can consider moving or switching your domain from medical writing to others. So because you are getting so much of exposure in medical writing with different types of
Hmm.
people, that's a great thing.
Yes.
Thank you, Ankit. So Ankit, what is the current expectation from the industry, or I should say, current expectation of the industry from the students? Like any kind of qualification, any skill set, or any
Hmm.
attributes that are required कि ये student में होना जरूरी है. So what would
Hmm.
that be?
Yes. So yeah, first talking about the qualifications. So I get there are many people who can enter into medical writing field. So if you are, let's say, if you are doing MSc, if you are doing M.Pharm, if you are, there are people who did bachelor MBBS, there are people who did BDS, MDS, dentistry, people who did PhDs. So all these people can do medical writing and can get good opportunities in this field. Now, talking about the skill sets that one should have if you would like to work in the medical writing field. So, yeah, let me divide into two different types. So, there are, of course, one technical skill sets that you need to have, and there are other one which is soft skills or behavioral skills that we say. So, if you look at the technical side, of course, I mean, the science is the most important part. You should love science, you should have passion for science. And since it's a writing part, communication and writing, so English has to be very good in terms of grammar, language, communication. So science and communication part that you must have.
Right.
And the other, yeah, I mean, when we talk about science, I mean, it is very important for the individual or the new joinee or fresher, I would say. So one has to be able to understand the complex data. So let's say, for example, if you are given a big table of full of data, then you should be able to read it and understand it and kind of analyze and interpret the conclusion out of it. I
Right.
mean, what is the conclusion? What are the side effects? What are the things that you are comparing? So kind of understanding and interpreting the data, that is very important. So I would definitely encourage students who are doing bachelor's or master, whenever you are reading any research paper, so just try to see how the conclusions are made, how the results are written, looking at different tables and figures that you have in the manuscripts. So that is very important. And yes, talking about the soft skills or behavioral skills, because I do know that the majority of the technical skills that we say, I mean, most of the bachelor students might not have, because sometimes they are not exposed to the research environment enough, right? So, and sometimes the people also do not know what kind of skills are required. So also, of course, companies do focus a lot on behavioral skills when hiring freshers. And behavioral skills like one has to be proactive, enthusiastic, I would say. I mean, if you show that you are ready to learn more, if
Right.
you have the flexibility to learn, I mean, they will check your approach to um, new challenges.
Hmm.
So for example, let's say if I'm working with diabetes, and let's say tomorrow someone will come to you and say, hey, there is a document for oncology, can you take up that? So you should not be afraid, you should be ready to take up that challenge, you should be able to learn new things. So if you show during that interview that yeah, you are proactive, quick learner, you have the enthusiasm to face challenges, so that is definitely very important, I would say.
Perfect. Perfect. Absolutely true. Thank you so much, Ankit, for that answer. So, Ankit, you have had a quite an interesting journey with respect to your academics. You have done your B Pharmacy, then you did your master's from NIPER, and then you also did your PhD from Germany. So, two questions here. What made you decide this career path? And second, why Germany?
Sure, sure. Yeah. Thanks for asking that question. Yeah. So, yeah, let me start with my bachelor's. So, I guess, I mean, the how the Indian system works, and like majority of us, I also wanted to pursue a career in medical. And fortunately or unfortunately, I missed that by 2 marks.
Oh my God.
And after that, I decided to go for bachelor's in pharmacy. So I was getting admission in dentistry, but I was not interested in dentistry during that time. So then I decided to do bachelor's in pharmacy, and then I chose Nirma University for my bachelor's, because I heard a lot of good things about Nirma, and basically I'm from Ahmedabad, so it is also one of the good
Best.
universities in Gujarat, I would say.
Right.
So yeah, I chose the Nirma University for my bachelor's of pharmacy, and I would say that this is where my journey actually started, and this is where I met so many, I mean, excellent faculties and students. Also, my batchmates were full of encouragement, and the whole environment was so competitive that, I mean, you can only grow from there. So there is no not going down from there. So everyone with whom you are talking there, I mean, full of motivation and encouragement, and the environment was competitive. So I remember in the second year of our B Farm, I mean, our goal was more or less fixed, that okay, so what is the next step, which is the best college where we can do masters? And the only answer was NIPER Mohali. And we thought, okay, yeah, let's do our best. And I remember, I mean, we all several students, like half of our class, were studying together uh, every day during evenings. And this was also, I mean, the record breaking year in the Nirma BFAM ka batch, where actually 17 out of 55 of us from the same class got admission into NIPER Mohali.
Wow. All right.
So yeah, that was the big achievement. And 17 of us, I mean, we are well close friends. So went to NIPER Mohali, were so enthusiastic. And also, when I went to Naiper Mohali, so this was of course the first time when I went out of my city, out of my hometown. So I definitely felt that okay, yes, I'm going out of my comfort zone, and I definitely wanted to do that, because I got admission in biotechnology, and I was also getting admission in biotechnology in Naiper Ahmedabad, which is just 2 kilometers away from my home. But I still told my parents that no, I just want to go to Mohali, although it's the same field, but the environment is completely different.
Yes.
Because when you go to such institute at such place, I mean, you will meet people from different cities, different backgrounds, and you kind of understand that thought process. And I actually, I mean, came across such brilliant students from different parts of India, which you never heard of. And
Right.
the faculties there were also had high focus on research and science, that I actually liked. So the very few colleges has a focus on science and research during masters. So in NIPER, yeah, we got opportunity to work on the research project for 1 year, which is the second year of our masters. And so that is where I kind of got more interested into pursuing my career in science. And as I mentioned, I mean, the most of the our colleagues or even PhD students that we had were like focused towards science. So we had one PhD student who just went to Germany for some scientific conference, attending some conference, and he came back with so many leaflets regarding the graduate schools in Germany. And this
Okay.
was the first time then we came to know, oh, okay, yeah, there are several graduate schools, and he kind of introduced us to that they have so many, I mean, good institutes, good graduate schools where people can apply. You get your own funding, so you don't need to rely on your professor, so you have your own stipend for 4 years. So that is one great thing. The facilities were great. So and then I kind of interacted with a couple of other seniors also who were doing their research in Germany. And after that I decided, okay, no, I would like to go to Germany, and this is when I started applying for my PhD in Germany. And actually I was lucky enough to get my PhD position in third semester of NIPER.
Wow.
So I remember I was the first one who just went to Germany for interview during my third semester, and then came back with the offer. Yeah. So yeah, that was the good time.
Yeah, congratulations for that. And I remember, like, as you said, that your entire environment in Nipur Mohali was very energetic and all inclined towards. Two of your colleagues have already
Yes.
interacted, Janak and Abhijit, and
Yes.
their energy levels are also different
Hmm.
completely. So, yes, I completely understand how the environment would be at that time.
Yes,
So,
completely.
that's great. So, Ankit, any specific challenges that you have faced during your career, maybe academically as a student or right now in your current domain, if you would like to share, and how did you try to
Mhm.
overcome those challenges?
Yes, yes, completely. So that's again a very important question. And so, I mean, for example, if you look at my CV, you might see that, oh, okay, he has such a smooth career. And yeah, he did his PhD, bachelor's in Nirma, then moved to NIPER, and then went to Germany, now working at Lilly. So it might look like a smooth journey, but I must tell that, I mean, there were a lot of challenges at each and every stage. So starting from the first part where I had to, I mean, I was kind of disappointed where I did not get admission into medicine, and then I had to move to B Pharma. And but of course, I mean, my thought process was, I mean, whatever you are doing, wherever you are doing, just give your best. So no matter, I mean, what you are doing. So if you are doing in B from any college where you are studying, you just need to give your best, try to be on the top in that particular college. Even if you are going, let's say, to some coaching institute, so just try to be best among those 50 students there. So yeah, you need to give your 100%. And this was, yeah, where, I mean, we decided that, okay, now since we did not get admission into medicine, we entered into pharma. Now we have to give our best, and let's go to NIPER, which was the aim for us. And we, yeah, kind of prepared for it and got into NIPER. And again, I mean, the thought process was the same, and also due to the motivation or encouragement that I got from my faculties or seniors who were working in NIPER. I mean, we kind of, okay, since we got opportunity to learn science and understand research in that particular institute, I mean, let's do something more. I mean, if we are really interested, let's, I mean, go abroad and try to pursue a career in research. So that is where then we decided to go to Germany. But as I mentioned earlier, that as I mentioned that I was the first one who got admission in PhD in the third semester. But yeah, just to tell you a bit more about the challenges associated with it. So I got this offer in the third semester, and then I was about to leave for Germany after my fourth semester. And just 1 month before my visa appointment, I got to know that the project which I was offered, it did not get approved
Oh,
from the German funding agency. So the supervisor who was applying for this project. So this project did not get approved from the funding agency, and the position was cancelled. And
okay.
then he kind of told me that, okay, I might need to wait for 1 more year, and they will again try next year. But of course, I did not want to take that risk. I mean, of course, if I want to do, then I can approach him again after 1 year. But I did not want to sit down and do
Hmm.
nothing for 1 more year. Yeah, and so I was in the position where I did not have my PhD position with me. I did not apply for any jobs. All the campus interviews were over by that time. Everybody grabbed the job,
Right.
whatever they found. So I was the only one remaining. I went home, And then I thought, okay, yeah, I will start applying again for my PhD applications. And in parallel, I mean, because it might take some time, it might
Hmm.
take 3 months, 6 months, even 1 year for some people.
Right.
So I thought, since I want to pursue a career in research, why not do some research, get some research experience in India? So I joined as a junior research fellow in NII, which is National Institute of Immunology in Delhi.
Right.
So I got selected for the JRF, Junior Research Fellowship position there. So I started working there, and immediately I realized that the environment was a bit hectic, and there was a lot of pressure and a lot of work that we had to do. So I was kind of working for around 12 to 13 hours a day.
Oh my God.
So I had to leave like 8 o'clock in the morning after breakfast, and I used to come around 8:30, and then you need to find dinner somewhere, and then
Right.
you come back home around 10 o'clock. So because my plan was to also apply for PhD applications in parallel, I thought I am not going to get any time out of this schedule because it
Right.
was super busy. And if I continue doing like this, I mean, I will stay here forever in the same institute, and I won't get even time to apply.
Right.
So then I had to change my strategy. And then what I did is, I started preparing for these applications during night. So I just, after my dinner around 9:30 or 10 o'clock, I just open my laptop and start looking for openings or positions from 10 to 1 midnight. I used to just look for positions, and then I used to wake up at 5:30 or 6, and in the morning 6 to 8 I used to prepare different CVs, cover letters, and apply for different positions. So this was my schedule. So just used to wake up at 6 and then go to sleep at 1. I mean, of course, in your mind also you are only thinking about CVs and cover letters during that time. So yeah, it was a bit difficult time to find some time to prepare yourself for these interviews. And I remember correctly that in this, only in 3 months, I kind of applied to around 50 positions, 50 PhD positions in 3 months. And and out of 50, I received many no's, many rejections. It was very disappointing, very disheartening. And I think I got around 4 to 5 interviews out of 50. And out of that, those 4 to 5, I got two offers at the end, so two PhD offers. So yeah, this is how the process goes. So I mean, definitely, I mean, whenever you are trying to achieve something, so don't lose hope in between. I mean, just keep going, and at some point it will happen. I mean, if you, because I still remember, if I look at my first CV and cover letter, and if I compare to the 50th one, I myself will agree that why I was not getting in the first position, right?
Okay.
So because you keep improving when you start, I mean, keep putting more efforts in all those applications. You need to give a couple of interviews, and I mean the final interview, then you are completely prepared, and then you will get it. So just keep going, and I mean, don't lose hope, because there are, I mean, uncertainties at every stage of life you will face.
Absolutely.
So yeah, I mean, we just need to keep going.
Oh, absolutely. All the hard work has paid off, I believe.
Yes, sure.
Very nicely said, Ankit. Like, as we usually say, that even the most successful person has just 24 hours in a day. It's about you, how you use those 24 hours. And I'm pretty sure you have used them in the right, the best possible way you could during your
Yes.
time at NI. So, congratulations for that. Uh, and Ankit, a couple of more questions from my end.
Mhm.
Uh, any specific ethics, like as you said, that never give up attitude should always be there, just keep going, but apart from that, are there any specific ethics that you have followed throughout your journey to make sure that you reach to this level that you are at?
Mhm. Sure, yeah, of course. I mean, the one that I told, I mean, always keep going. Don't be afraid of challenges. Challenges will be always there, but once you, I mean, look back in your career, I mean, you will feel that those challenges were not the big ones. So yeah, so always keep going. And the one ethics that I always try to follow is, do whatever you are doing, do with your complete honesty and integrity, and be true to yourself. So if you are saying something, you should know that if you are telling truth to yourself or not. Even when you are writing something in your CV, even when you are speaking something during your interview, because I know that I mean, how people prepare for interviews, and we kind of overemphasize our skills, right? So if you are true to yourself, then you will never end up in a position where you don't know what to do next. So always be true to yourself and do with complete ethics and integrity. And I always believe in giving more. So if let's say if you are getting paid for doing a job for 10 rupees, so try to give something back which is worth of 12 rupees, and then only your employer or your supervisor or your professor will realize your importance and will give you more opportunities in future.
Absolutely.
So don't think that okay, why should I do extra work if I'm not getting paid for it. So always give more than what you are asked for.
Absolutely. Very true. Absolutely true, Ankit. Thank you so much for this. And Ankit, if you are into reading books, would you like to suggest some books to our students to read which would help them for self development or anything that you are fond of?
Sure, sure. So I'm not actually reading more into different novels or fiction. I actually like reading a lot of self-development books, and one of my favorite books is Outliers. Maybe some of you might have heard it. If not, I would definitely recommend to read Outliers by Malcolm Gladwell. So Outliers is basically talking about all the most successful or highest achievers, how they are different from other people. So it will kind of give you insight, I mean, what those people are doing which is completely different than what we do as a normal people. So this is one book, and another book that I'm currently reading is The Power of Understanding People, so which is very important. So this book basically talks about the importance of building relationships with different people. So it's very critical mm, mm, to build a successful relationship not only in your personal life but in your professional life, because when you are moving ahead in your career you will deal with people from different areas, different cities, different countries. You might need to talk to people from different areas as therapeutic areas as well. So it's very important to understand that nobody is bad, but the people are just different than you,
Right.
right? So everybody has the different communicating styles, different thinking process. So if you understand that, okay, what is different in this particular individual, and if you try to understand why this particular individual is thinking in this direction, so then only you will be able to develop your communication style, and then you can kind of try to establish a successful relationship with that person. So this book is very important, and if you get a chance, I would definitely recommend. So the power of understanding people.
Absolutely. Perfect. And one last question, Ankit, from my end, and then we can invite students to ask you questions with your permission.
Sure, sure. Sounds great.
So, Ankit, any message that you would like to drop for the students who are pursuing or who are trying to prepare for their higher entrance exams, just like you did back in your bachelor's days?
Mhm.
So, we have a lot of students who are planning for NIPER or BITS or other top institutes of the country. So, any message that you would like to share with them?
Sure. So yeah, I mean, just to summarize, I mean, whatever I already mentioned. So give your best, whatever you are doing, wherever you are doing, just give your best, and I'm sure that, I mean, at the end of the day you will see that, you will see yourself that you are moving ahead in your career if you are doing your best. And the other thing from my experience, I would say that get used to listening to no. There will be no's each and everywhere, but do not accept no. Don't accept no. So whenever someone will tell you no, you can't do this, you are not capable of doing this, you can't get this, if you are interested, just prove it, do all your hard work. So yeah, definitely, I mean, get used to listening to no's. I mean, don't get frustrated, don't get annoyed. Of course you do not have something which they need, that's why you are getting no. So try to work more hard and try to work on yourself and get those skills, and then yeah, so don't accept the no.
Perfect. Thank you so much, Ankit, for this session. I'm pretty sure the students have a lot to learn from this. We'll invite our students as well to ask some questions. Starting with Ikra. Ikra, if you would like to ask your question.
Hello, sir.
Hi.
Hi. Sir, is there any software used to change from scientific data to layman language? Is there? So, what
Mhm.
are the software used?
Yes. So there are no, particular softwares that we use for changing the scientific data into layman language. So of course, the most important software that we use is Excel. So where you can do most of the things. Recently, there is one software which came into market called GraphPad. So, but that again depends on the company or industry that you are working on and if you need it. But most of the skills, so I would say there are several things you can do with Excel and Word, and there are also several workshops available, advanced workshops for Word and Excel. And even myself, today also I'm learning new things what we can do with Word. So definitely try to get expertise in Excel and Word. That is most important. But otherwise, don't need to worry about the software. It depends on the company that you are working on. So once you get into that company, they will definitely tell you which software they are using. And so you can definitely learn there as well. So we do use several softwares, but every company has their own software. So I just don't want to focus on one particular software.
Thank you, sir.
Next, we can have Rajeshwari if you would like to ask a question.
Yes, sir. Hello, sir.
Hello.
Sir, you are into like analyzing data and forming that complex into the simple for the people, right? So, did you
Mhm.
ever thought in the B Farm or M Farm like you are going to work as a medical writer person in your life?
Yes. So if Yeah, actually during my B Farm or M Farm, yes, B Farm I did not have any idea regarding what medical writing is and what we need to do in this particular job profile. In M Farm, yes, because a couple of my colleagues entered into medical writing immediately after M Farm, while I was more interested in doing research. So yeah, I did have friends and colleagues who were into medical writing, and I just got some idea about what medical writing is. But of course, when you are doing research, let's say I was doing research project in my master's for 1 year, and then I did my PhD. And during that, you kind of gain the knowledge what all goes into medical writing, because you yourself did the research part. And during your PhD or even research, you kind of need to create lot of abstracts, posters, slide set. I have attended several congresses, conferences where you need to present your data, you need to defend your thesis, and there are several progress reports you have to give once in a while. So you kind of know, what all goes into medical writing. And of course, try to get more information and more knowledge regarding the clinical trial process, drug development procedure, so that will definitely help. So of course, only after I entered into the research field I came to know more about medical writing. But before that, I would say, I just heard about it, but I did not have any idea what all goes into it.
Okay, sir. So one more question.
Mhm.
Like you said, like your farm people also like applied for medical writing, and you
Yes.
after doing PhD, you have applied for the medical writing. So does the
Yes.
priorities are given like a PhD person? So we would take them, and it's not a PhD or farm. Like if there is a priority.
Yes. So yeah, thanks for asking that question. So it again varies in depending on the job profile. So let's say if you would like to do regulatory writing, it is not completely necessary to have a PhD. So if you show that you have interest in science, you kind of understand, what the science, how to interpret data and everything. So you are still capable of doing that job. Coming to the publication writing, it will definitely help if you have a PhD, because as I mentioned, you kind of need to create all these documents throughout your PhD. So you gain a lot of experience during that. And although I would say PhD is definitely not necessary, but at the end of the day, if you have that research experience, you can definitely get enough benefits out of it. So even talking about the getting the opportunity in big company, so if you have a PhD, it helps a lot. And with the speed that you can move into your career ahead, that will also change if you have certain degrees. And after you reach to some positions, you might need to have those degrees with you to proceed further. So that will also play a huge role. But again, I mean, just to re-emphasize, so PhD is not necessary. You can get those skills while working on the job as well. But it is good to have, and many companies nowadays, I mean, specifically the big pharma companies, they prefer candidates with PhDs. And if you have done your PhD, let's say in the clinical trial projects, then you are definitely the most preferred candidates or in the drug development procedure.
Okay, thank you, sir.
Thanks.
Thank you, Rajeshwari. Next, we can have Seher to ask your question.
Hello, sir. First of
Hi.
all, the session was really nice. Thank you. And my question is, as you have said, the people from other science background are also eligible in this. So, with comparing with them and considering the pharmacy, what do you think the experience we have had so far will qualify us for what type of position?
Yes. So if I understood your question correctly, I mean, do we have any advantage, I mean, in being in the
Yes, sir. Yes,
pharmacy
sir.
field over the other fields, right?
Yes, sir.
Yes. So it's a good question, but I think at the end of the day, what matters is your communication skills, your passion for science, what was your research project or research experience, because majority of the MSc students also have good research experience, and the people who have done their MSc from some great universities or colleges, they have even more knowledge than what we have. So there is no, I mean, good or bad, I would say, when comparing to MSc or MPharm.
Okay,
But
sir.
coming to the MBBS or BDS, it again depends on the which types of documents you are writing. So as I mentioned, in medical writing, there are several documents. So for example, there is a separate department for pharmacovigilance. Even under medical writing, we have separate team working from safety or efficacy documents. So documents which are dealing more with the safety and efficacy of the drugs, there you will see a lot of people from MBBS background. Even in the field where you need to do some pharmacovigilance work, even after doing medical writing for a few years, let's say you want to move to pharmacovigilance, it will be always helpful if they have the MBBS degree with them or research experience with them. So there it will, I mean, the MSc and MPharm candidates will have a lower preference, I would say, compared to the MBBS people. But again, I mean, you can learn all these things while doing your job. So but at the end of the day, you all are on the same platform when you enter into medical writing, and it all depends on how fast, how quick learner you are, how much sincere you are, and if you are putting enough effort to understanding science and showcasing your abilities while working on these medical documents.
Okay, sir. So one more question. So what are the common entry level jobs for the freshers which do not require any experiences?
Yes, sure. So there are, I mean, nowadays, I mean, of course, I mean, during our time, it was a bit difficult to get a job as a fresher. I mean, but nowadays, fortunately, the many companies have opened their positions for freshers. They are also going for campus interviews. So as a fresher, what in the beginning, what you can do is, so all these documents, as I say, once all the documents are written, once they are near to finalization stage, it has to be reviewed by someone, right? So before you kind of publish or send those documents out of the company, it has to be reviewed and confirmed. So there are different roles like quality control reviewers, there are editors, there are specialists. So all these roles actually can be taken up by the freshers. So during that time, you kind of need to just check the quality of the document. If all the data, whatever is written, is kind of matching with the source documents, is the figures, wherever you have placed the figures, it is the correct position, if the conclusions are correct. But again, that also requires, I mean, lot of knowledge, I would say, because this is the most important part actually. But it's good that the companies are giving opportunities to freshers to do that job, because it's kind of near to finalization stage where you are the one who will sign the document saying that the quality is checked and the document is perfect. So if something goes wrong there, I mean, it's a big trouble for the company. I mean, a lot of work need to be done to resolve those issues. And there are different roles like the document management roles, document finalization roles, So because as I mentioned, we do have hundreds of documents, so we need people to keep a track of the documents from starting date to end date. If some document is not moving forward, what is the problem? If all the documents are stored in the correct folder, correct directions, if everybody can get access to those documents. So there are several things related to document management as well. There is separate team which is required for the document finalization. So once the quality reviewers say yes, the document is right, they will finalize the document, prepare the folder, PDF files out of it, and then it will be submitted out of the company. So yeah, there are several roles which are available for freshers, and once you kind of know all the steps, and then you can again, apply for different exams as a writer. And if you mm, get into writing, that would be the best part, I would say.
Thank you, sir. So last question from mine. So is there any online certification courses in this field, or do we need some accreditation for a medical to become a medical writer?
Yes. So I would definitely encourage, if you get opportunity to do some courses related to regulatory affairs, related to clinical trials, because I know people who did those courses and got job as a fresher. So specifically, it's more important for freshers, and that will give you more idea regarding the clinical trial procedure and regulatory affairs. So those are two different areas I would suggest that if you find any courses, then just get those done. And of course, not only just to get the certificate, but to get more information, because I must emphasize that companies are not looking for certificates. They don't really focus more on certificates in your CV, but what you answer in your during your interview, that is more important. So yeah, just try to read those things up. Even if you find some books, that is good enough rather than going for certificates. But if you think some certification course is giving you enough information which is necessary for you, which you are interested into, so then definitely go for those certifications to get more information.
Okay, sir. Thank you so much.
Yeah.
Last, we have Snehal, if you would like to ask a question.
Yes, sir. Uh, so, can you explain something about All India Medical Writers Association and how is it helping medical writers in India?
Sure. Yeah, that's a great question. So right now we do have different association for different countries. So we have American Medical Writing Association, we have European Medical Writing Association. So those are two major associations, and they are doing a lot of work in that direction. So we do have a lot of different conferences, workshops are arranged or organized by American or European Medical Writing Association. In India, we do have ISCR. So ISCR is putting a lot of effort towards spreading knowledge regarding the medical writing. So you can also just go through the website iscr.in, I guess. So in that you find a lot of workshops, a lot of reading material which is free. Of course, you get more materials if you are a member of it, but most of you might not be need to be a member on that, but you get a lot of information available. So we do have conferences in regular interval. There are topics which are focused on one particular document type. What are the things that we as a writer need to be careful? What are the things required to understand the statistics, for example? Because as a writer, we also might need to understand the statistics behind the data to understand the data, right? And we also need to deal with statisticians on regular basis. What are the things important for regulatory affairs, regulatory writing documents? So all those workshops are organized, and I think it again depends on your company. If they are sponsoring, you will get an opportunity to attend those courses and workshops. And also in every organization, they also do have a separate workshops organized at regular interval for the knowledge enhancement. So that will be definitely useful.
Thank you, sir.
Thank you so much, Ankit,
Right.
for joining us. And I'm pretty sure the viewers and the students have lots to learn. They will be highly motivated and educated with respect to what medical writing is. So thank you so much, Ankit, once again for joining us at the Leadership Lab.
Yeah, thanks a lot for organizing this and having me. I'm sure that I hope that students found this useful, and I wish them good luck in their career ahead.
Definitely. Thank you so much, Ankit. Take care.
Thanks. Bye.
Thank you for watching the Leadership Lab. If you have any questions for our speakers or any suggestions for us, you can email to us on pharmacad.mumbai@gmail.com, and the title of the email should be the Leadership Lab. And we shall try to send your questions to the speakers and get the answers at the earliest. Thank you so much for supporting. Keep watching. Take care.